a lot to talk about this week, though. Because this is the Every FNFF podcast.
Yeah.
I stole it from you, Curtis.
And you're Carl, and you're Alex, and I'm Curtis. Ooh.
Woo. I also peaked my audio there, so sorry, Alex.
That's fine.
Hey, I want to talk to you guys about ZG. Y'all ever heard about ZG?
No.
ZG.
It's a little friend of mine. His name's Zeus Gauntlets.
Oh, hell fucking yeah.
And,
he's a fast friend of mine as well.
Friendship with the fight command, over.
Friendship with difficulty, over.
Yeah. Friendship with difficulty,
Friendship
over.
with the flee command, over.
Friendship with the item command, and specifically Zeus Gauntlets. Friendship with the heal staff. Oh, it's on. It's on, baby.
Oh, hell yeah.
Love them. Love both of them fools.
So fucking good.
So when we asked the question today, what did we do last week, guys? We got the Zeus Gauntlet and the heal staff. There was some other piddly crap, but I think that was
That's all we need.
The primo pieces.
All right, they're called Zeus Gauntlets in your game.
Yeah, they're just called gauntlets in mine, but
really?
Zeus Gauntlet sounds so much cooler.
Oh.
Suit Gauntlets.
Zeus suit. Gauntlets. Yeah.
Hold back a bolt too.
So we just got class changed up, babies.
Hell fucking yeah.
Oh,
all grown up.
All grown up.
Like that Rugrats reboot.
That show was so bad.
Okay. Tommy Pickles is the fighter.
Dill Pickles is still
Dill
disturbing.
Pickle is a DLC class. that doesn't count. Angelica is the monk. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Dill and Lil are white mage, black mage. Phil and Lil. You're right. Yeah. Phil and Lil are white mage, black mage. Chucky, red mage.
Of course.
Is there another baby? Or is that all of them?
There was
Susie.
That's right. I was trying to remember.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Susie is the sanctuary person who heals you.
And who was the stepsister of Chucky that came in after the Paris movie?
Magenta.
Was that her name?
Yeah, so there was Steve's friend Blue, and then
I was going to say, I was like, no, Magenta was Blue's Clues blue friend.
My Rugrats lore does not go that
Part
deep.
of the Blue's Clues
I'll say
compilation.
Dill is the thief because he's not menacing. What's the word? Mischievous.
It's a little stinker.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's got nimble fingers.
So that's canonically which Rugrat would be which FF1 class. Thank you for listening to the FF podcast. Yeah. I also forgot the name of our podcast, and I just called it the FF podcast. It's the only one. It's the only place you can go.
Only one.
All right, what are we doing this week?
Let's see. We're leaving the dragons behind, and I think we're heading off to Onrak, which is directly west of where we just were.
Onrak,
which in my game is mistranslated because it's on lack.
Right.
Oh, really?
And I was like, it's because it's on lake, even though it's not a lake. It's on the ocean.
I feel like okay, the name Onrak to me just has some real Dracula Alucard vibes. Like I was like Onrak. Carno? No, that can't be something. Like it just sounds like a backward name.
Like, how can we scramble these letters and make it spell something cool?
Oh, what could it possibly be? That doesn't matter.
Carlo.
There you go. Carlo. Monte Carlo. So there's nowhere to park the airship near this city, which is kind of lame.
It's kind of a theme.
Yeah, I was able to park it in the lower east corner of like the marshes
of Brooklyn.
Just south.
Yeah,
just south of the south side of the forest, just below Onrak.
I agree.
Yeah, there's like a river and then forest and then Onrak right there. So you just park like pretty much directly next to the river, and you don't have to walk too far. But you could also like find another like more obvious place to park and then like traverse a lot more of the continent. But that's kind of going to be a theme with the airship anywhere.
If you want to fight more dragons, like
I've also noticed
that,
I've also noticed with the airship, I'm always trying to like dial in the like the motion of it so I can park correctly, because there's usually like
so
maybe
fast.
there's like 3 squares maybe sometimes where you can park, and you move 2 squares at a time. So I was getting like flashbacks to when I used to play Pokemon as a kid, and you could like, it was like pressure sensitive on the D-pad. So if you wanted to, you could like hit left very lightly, and your character would just face left instead of walking a tile over. And I would always try and do that, just to, like, see if I could.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I can I was like, I can never be directly above this place where I need to park. But
sometimes I would like go away and then see if like if I stop at the right moment, I'll be like the perfect like. Like maybe like I'm not traveling in twos, maybe I'm only starting up in twos, and like,
yeah, you're like, I'm going 2.5, so if I go enough far to the farthest right,
if you park
then
where so maybe if you actually, I should try this. If we go to the square you want and then just go all the way around the earth, maybe there's an odd number of squares around the earth, and then you could end up right where you need to be if you go
just
around.
like fucking parallel parking.
But yeah, it's a large continent. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff going on in this continent. I feel like if we don't go toward Onrak and instead we go northwest, there's just a big like expansive desert. Like it's just pretty big. It has a couple features to it, which we'll get to. So Onrak, baby, on to Onrak.
Oh, yeah.
The important thing to know about Onrak is
that it has a well in it.
It has a well,
and it has a couple wells. It's got a couple wells, and if you talk to the well, as we've mentioned before, it says a well. Not at all important. I'm sorry, that's the screenshot I have up when you said the important thing about it.
Mine was like something like, you can't climb in it, really.
I was going to say the most important thing is that the very first person I talked to said, my legs are beautiful. It's nice to have legs. And I was like, that's fine.
Legs are lit.
Legs are lit.
This is how I feel after I do like a lot of weight squats because the MVC in mine just says, here, check out my legs. It's so wonderful to have legs. I can dance now, see?
It's a little it's bordering on a little ableist, but I
didn't think
they're right.
But you're right.
I can play the piano.
Can I play the piano anymore? Of course you can. Well, I couldn't before.
I was also thinking it had some Wint drill vibes as well, where I was like, that's a weird thing to just say to a stranger.
Right. Yeah, right. I think the first one I talked to was like, are those real legs?
It's like, buddy. I don't know you. I
didn't really understand what the fuck all this fascination with legs was until later.
Yeah, when it dawned on me, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. Because before I was just like Nintendo being stupid and just being like, just talk about legs, whatever.
So there's
like the I am Arla the dancer or whatever.
Yeah, there are a lot of characters in this town who talk about legs. It's a very leggy town. But there's also a couple characters who kind of elucidate a little bit more. It is difficult to stand on two legs.
It's difficult to stand on two legs, hell yeah.
But one of the townspeople says, until 200 years ago, mermaids lived in the shrine. Then, in fire and smoke, it sank. The mermaids? ? And so I guess he's trying to be like, who knows what happened to them? So
that was 200 years ago tonight.
this very night. Yeah, at this campground.
In this well. But yeah, in my game he just says, he might have some other dialogue that I didn't get a screenshot of, but he says, the shrine shrank into the depths of the sea 200 years ago. Rumor has it that mermaids dwell there now. I think there was a bit of dialogue before that my phone just fucked up and messed up the picture, so I can't read it, but...
I feel like your text and my text are a little opposed there, where mine is like, there were mermaids living here, and then they got the shit into the stick and it sank, and yours is like, that shrine sank, and then only mermaids could live there.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it, Square? Were they there before or after?
Square, we have so many questions for you.
Honestly, maybe the mermaids were like, nice shrine. Don't mind if we take it, dude.
Yeah. Maybe
you could probably use one at the bottom of the sea.
Be a shame if something happened to
it. Let's see here. Some townspeople mention... So without going into every single piece of text, which we can if we like, but... multiple people talking about legs, multiple people talk about mermaids, multiple people talk about hot legs. Multiple people talk about Van Halen. Wait, was it Van Halen?
I think it was it Rod Stewart?
Is that Rod Stewart?
Hot legs, Google. Okay, Stewart, so according to the fandom and according to Yinza.com, it was actually a Rod Stewart song called Hot Legs. She's got legs.
I have the lyrics pulled up, and I have no idea how the song goes. So Who's that knocking on my door? Gotta be 3:45.
We're going to do the FF6 one. Who's that knocking on my door at 3:45? All right, well, I'm quitting this podcast. Yeah, so multiple people talk about that. A lot of people talk about the shrine that was here and how prosperous the town was 200 years ago, right? So they think that America has lost its way and needs to return
The ocean?
to how the forefathers thought about it 200 years ago. Yo, stance of the podcast, America needs to return to the ocean.
True.
Give it back.
So that's the gist. And then there's also a little bit of text about someone in town who saw a falling, shining object.
Yeah. There's a couple of NPCs who talk about this in my game. So there's one guy who's just mentioning it who looks like the little Mohawk punk guy.
Yeah.
So they use the same character model, but he says, Kape said that he saw something bright falling to earth. I think he was delirious.
Yeah, it's basically the same text in mine, and for once the same name, which is wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. When have we ever had an NPC named the same thing as over our versions?
Kape. He also says that all Kapes are bastards, I think.
Get them. Get they ass.
Get them.
Oh,
I'm just kind of going through because there's another thing that puts a little more in perspective with that, but I do want to point out this other legs dialogue really quick that just says, "Do you have legs?"
do you guys remember?
There's a prompt that says yes and no, and it's like, you have selected me.
You have selected you. Referring to me.
The correct answer was you.
Ask your doctor about legs.
So, do you guys remember Dr. Une?
No.
Yes. In the town, who was like, "You've heard of me," and then you're like, "No."
Yeah, in Melmond,
No.
there was a guy. There was a guy standing beside a tombstone who's like, "I'm Dr. Une, but I'm 100% sure you've heard of me." What? No, and you're like, "No, who
shit.
the fuck are you?"
I didn't catch that, but yeah, the dialogue, I have that right in front of me. Yeah, we meet his brother.
So somebody in this town mentions him and says that he's studied the language of Leafinish, which I think we've heard about in the town of Gaia. Somebody was like, "Oh, there's a town and all they speak is gibberish," I think is what they said.
Yeah.
Which, again, a little insensitive, but all right,
Of
that's
course.
fine.
Way more insensitive in my game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But this guy clarifies that is the language of the Sky Warriors. And we've heard some things about a technological civilization, towers floating in the sky. So there's some things are kind of coming together here, where a couple towns and a couple peoples have been like, okay, there's the town with the other language. There's the history of these floating towers. There's Dr. Une, who knows that language, or like has been studying the language.
Is trying to learn the language.
Right.
So clearly they're setting up here for the tie-in to the smash hit series Skylanders, which is famous for becoming the new canon of Spyro the Dragon.
It's the only true sequel to FF7 that I'll accept.
The Skylanders, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, Spyro. I mean, Skylanders
Spyro,
Skylanders is like FF7 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
But so this character, this NPC who mentions Dr. Une, says that if only he had the slab, he could teach that language. And we all know that the slab belongs to Ramses.
I was waiting for it. Oh, man.
Return the slab.
If I wasn't afraid of fucking technical difficulties, I would change my background to Ramsey again on the Zoom call. I did find Kape's dialogue as well. He's by the docks, which we're going to have to go to in a little bit, but he says, I'm Kape. Or Kope. Yep, I saw that
Kope.
thing. Oh, yeah,
No
yeah. I was
Kope.
going to make a joke about Kopes, and instead I took it the other way, whatever. He says, I'm Kope. Yep, I saw that thing fall near the northern waterfall, I think. No one believes me, but it looked like a robot.
Yeah. Which I also like that. I think this is the first time we've heard anything about, like, robots.
Yeah, it's been a straight fantasy game up until now.
Yeah.
So is this turning into straight up like Alita or castles in the sky or those robots fucking falling from the sky.
Have you guys ever played the game? I don't know how to pronounce it, but Crystallis
I've
for
heard
the
of
NES.
it. I have not played it.
It reminds me, like when I play it, it seems like, oh man, this is what the original Legend of Zelda would be if it was just polished to a fucking sheen. Like,
oh, so Moon Crystal. Continue.
Moon
Moon Crystal's more if Zelda 2 was good, which it is. I love Zelda 2, but also Moon Crystal fucking rips.
Crystallis or whatever came out toward the end of the NES's lifespan, so I think that like there was a lot more time and a lot more development and probably money that was able to go into it, and it feels like a Zelda but incredible kind of thing.
I think I've heard of this because you've told me about it before.
Probably.
Maybe on the podcast. I can't remember.
So. But the only reason I bring it up is like literally floating towers, fucking robots that pop up at the end game of a fantasy game. I was like, oh yeah, that's the plot of that game.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Moon Crystal also came out towards the end of the life cycle of the Famicom. It was a Japanese only game, but like it does pretty seamless screen transitions, and the animations are like incredibly fluid. And when you play it, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that this is like an NES era game.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds cool.
It never came over here, but I have it on my EverDrive, and all the music in it, like I actually found it through the music of it because the soundtrack is so fucking good. So
I will have to check that out. Oh, I will say one last thing about that game. Its Japanese name is Godslayer. Fuck yes.
Yo, that fucking rules. Yes. They couldn't bring that over here, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, Moon Crystal was 92, Crystallis or whatever was 90. Okay. So this is like 2 years, even more than that. So it's like,
wow. All right.
It like thoroughly into the Super Nintendo's lifespan, I feel like.
Cool. So in this town, we also find, I don't know if there's like specific text for you guys about it, but there is, someone guarding a dock, what looks like a dock, like where you'd put boats or whatever in. Mm-hmm. And they kind of tell you about the Oxyale, which we mentioned one time, I believe, in Gaia.
Yes. Yeah. In Gaia, someone was talking about it.
Yeah, that you can find the Oxyale at the spring.
But the only thing that could get it was a faerie.
The faerie, yeah, and that pirate sold the faerie to a merchant in the desert. And we've heard them, like I said earlier, we're right next to a big old desert. And some people mention like, oh yeah, there's a merchant who lives in that desert. Then therefore, we're going to the desert next.
Going to the desert.
There was dialogue for the person who is guarding the docks.
She's not really guarding. She's just like talking about this barrel submarine she made, and like I can't really go deep enough because I can't hold my breath because they don't have hoses in this game. So.
Yeah, this the dialogue is, I wanted to help save the mermaids, so I made a submarine out of a barrel. But I always run out of oxygen before reaching the shrine. So don't use it unless you know what you're doing, okay? Which just reminded me of that time when Elon Musk was like, I'm going to save those children in that mine. I'm going to build a submarine. Like, I'm going to have my engineers build a child-sized submarine to save them. And then that, like, actual dude went and saved them. And Elon Musk was like, this fucking pedo guy.
Yeah,
like,
I know, yeah.
Giving him shit. And then, like, that guy sued Elon Musk for defamation. And Elon Musk won that case. That's super fucked up. That's a cool thing that happened in the world, right?
Hey, guys. Elon Musk fucking sucks ass.
He's the fucking worst.
He's the fucking worst dumbass piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
People have been continually retweeting his like tweets about the COVID-19, like in like February, where he's like, this coronavirus panic is stupid. And now he's like, give us freedom or whatever. He's like calling for, what a fucking idiot.
Oh man. Anyway,
my word.
So let's go to the desert.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get there.
Yeah, it's not very bad. The desert's not like ultra expansive. It's just relatively large. No big deal. So what I wanted to ask is, when you arrive at the oasis, what is it like for you guys?
So before we get to that, I do want to talk about
how... You son of a bitch!
I'm so sorry. No, it's tied in with this, but this is actually like the most helpful thread that I found in any of this game so far. I don't know why they put it so close to the end of the game, but there's like one NPC in town that says, my daddy has gone off with the caravan. They're headed for the western desert. They always make camp on the north edge of the desert near some trees. I miss my daddy. I hope he comes home soon. And I thought that it was going to be a thing where we like go and fight this caravan to like get the ferry back and free it and stuff. And I'm like, you just ended your whole dad's career. Like,
you stupid
and boy,
kid.
was I in for a surprise when that happened. So like I had pretty much explicit directions of like, hey, go here. So I just like flew around in the desert and saw like the trees and I was like, oh, it's right there.
Yeah. So
For me, there were no trees.
oh,
Damn.
Yeah, on my map, I think so.
that's a shit ass oasis.
So I noticed there was the desert, but in the northern part there is like a separate section of desert, like that was just had a slight little border around it, and I was like, that looks suspicious. And I parked just a little bit west of it.
Yeah, it's not far at all that you have to park.
No, not at all. But when you walk into the oasis, you see basically it functions like as a town, except there's only one building on a screen, which is a tent for me. And then you walk in, and it looks like it's just a shop of a guy just sitting on the ground that you talk to.
Is that how yours is, Carl?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a feeling I know what yours is.
So, you walk onto the tile that the oasis is supposed to be on. Literally, the shop screen pops up. There's no zone there. It's just a tile that takes you to a fucking shopping screen where like buy and sell an item like pop up, and I was like, oh, it looks like that then apparently.
Yeah, like we have like a whole little almost like a town, like just it's unique, a unique screen. You can kind of see the oasis off to the border of it, and then there's like sand on the other side.
Too,
yeah, and then you go into the tent, and it's like going inside of an item shop, and there's a guy behind a counter, and you talk to him, and he has one item, which I think I looked it up, and it's a lot funnier in your version, I think, Curtis. But he is selling the bottled faerie, and it is 50,000 gil.
It is 50,000 gil, and mine it is just bottle.
50,000,
and we have to give him $50,000. Yeah.
And so for me, what I did after getting the class change, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself. I finally got the class change. I'm gonna do the circuit. I'm hitting up Provoca. I'm hitting up Cornelia. I'm hitting up Elfheim.
All the magic I don't have already.
All that magic. I don't need Gil for anything. Let's go. And I bought everything I could for my ninja and for my knight. And I was like feeling good. And then I got to the caravan and I looked and I had like 30k gil and I needed 50k. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, wait a second. That's only 2 like world records on the 15 puzzle. So I flew all the fucking way back to my boat. I like parked. I walked to my boat, and I tried to play the 15 game to get under 2 minutes. And I ended up doing that probably for a good 40 minutes. And I was like, "Yo, fuck this!" And I just went to the Peninsula of Power and got the rest of my gil, and then bought the ferry. I was like, "This would be perfect. Good. This would be the perfect redemption arc for me fucking up the puzzle last time."
That's so good. Oh, that's amazing.
If only.
So, I have another question for you guys. Once you buy the bottle, does it take it out of the innkeeper's stock?
Yes.
So, since it's an actual shop for me, when I first talked to him, the only thing he had for sale was this ferry. And like, cool, I got the ferry. But I decided to see what happened if I talked to him again. He has like 5 or 6 things in stock, which are tonics and drinks. Like Giant's tonic and stuff like that. So, very expensive, but it's a lot of potions and tonics that you can use.
He just still has bottles to sell.
Bottles?
To sell. You can just buy bottles for $50,000 each, I guess.
God damn.
I was
that's
like,
nuts.
That's odd.
Very similar to Alex's, my guy just becomes an item shop, but he sells like potion, antidote, and tent.
Oh, okay. The basics.
Potion, antidote, gold needle, I think, is on the NES and PlayStation version.
Well, the NES version just has the fucking bottle still there.
Oh, no, maybe.
Maybe if I leave and then come back, he changes.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, that would probably do it.
But on my version, it has a Giant's tonic, a faerie tonic, which is funny. It could just be more faerie. Could just milk the faerie. Strength tonic, protect drink, and speed drink.
Speedo drink.
And Red Bull.
I like it.
I think speed drink is another thing that kind of recurs in Final Fantasy.
It is integral to the Final Fantasy V speedrun.
Hell yeah.
So, indeed.
There you have it.
So we got that fairy in a bottle. Fairy in a bottle.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a fairy in a bottle, baby.
Baby, coming at ya. So, let's get that fairy out of the bottle, head back to Gaia, release that fairy at the lake.
Yes.
But for us,
or anywhere.
well, yeah, that's what's happened. So how do you all go about releasing it? Because for me, I just set foot into Gaia, it takes off.
Oh, no joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just does it for me.
Oh, nice.
And then I have to go find her at the at like the lake up in the northern section.
So I forgot where the ferry was. I went to Gaia first because I'm like, oh, we were talking about that last week. It was in Gaia, and I went to Gaia and I was walking around. I was like, I remember it being to like the like west of town, and I went west the first time I could, and there was like a path leading somewhere.
You mean east?
Yes, east. God damn it! Why am I so bad at that this time?
Well, hold on. Well, you start in the east of town, and you actually have to like go west. And then
you have to go west to go east. Yeah. So I was trying
on
to
the
just
Wii
go
version. They had
east.
actually just mirrored it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
It's the Wii version that I'm playing. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, I got it. I'm sorry, I'm dumb. Go ahead.
Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I got it now.
But because most people are right-handed, so but yeah, so I went to go east and I was following a path and it just spit me back out onto the world map. So I was like, oh, maybe it was at Gaia. So I went to Gaia and walked all around Gaia and I was like, shit, there's nothing here. And then I like looked it up and like just found an old walkthrough that I think was for like the NES one. And it was like, oh, you have to use the key item to like set the fairy free. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did that. And then I was like, oh, I got to go back to Gaia. And then I found it. So that's why I ended up using the key item. But
makes sense.
Yeah, she just flies off, and then for me, I went up to the little lake, which is in the northeast corner, just east of where we heard Snake Plissken talk about selling it.
yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry for flying off. I want to make sure I could trust you or whatever." And then she gives you the Oxycontin.
Yeah, she dives to the bottom of the lake and then pulls it out for you. Which, do we have any idea what the Oxy Ale is? Besides, say, like...
It was first mentioned, I feel like, in Gaia by someone. I forget what they said.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
they just said that only fairies could harvest it or whatever.
Do you imagine it to be like a seaweed? Or like...
It's whatever that shit was in Harry Potter.
Oh, like gillyweed from Harry Potter?
Yeah.
It's
I was kind of just... I mean, I was thinking ale, like maybe it's a thing that you drink.
I was wondering maybe it's like an ale.
Like a sweet ginger ale. When you have a tummy ache and nothing else is working. Yeah, so the fairy dialogue kind of explains it a little more, I guess. It says, I was trapped inside the bottle that you bought. How horrifying that was. To repay your kindness, I will retrieve some Oxy Ale for you from the bottom of the spring. And then there's like an animation where she like turns into like a very like Ocarina of Time fairy. Like a little pink orb that like floats around, which is the same thing that when I did it on the world map, it was the same thing. It just like floated away like that.
Okay.
Maybe it's like the Abyss, where they need liquid oxygen, so we don't we can because of how deep we're going and under the ocean.
Oh,
the pressure,
and how like pressurized.
We have to displace all the blank space in our bloodstream with liquid.
Yeah, she goes on to say, from that water flows an endless supply of air.
That's
so
wild.
it's like water that has some sort of air element in it, but it's an endless supply of air. So I guess if you like drink it, it fills your bloodstream so you don't have to breathe. I don't know how breathing works. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm assuming that it gets into your bloodstream.
Actually, I wonder if the purpose of breathing is to get oxygen into your bloodstream, and you had like...
Is that the purpose of breathing, though? I legitimately don't know.
I believe so. I believe that's correct.
think so, right?
Well, I was going to say Oxy Ale was a thing you could apply to yourself. I wonder if that doesn't necessarily mean you can breathe underwater, but you just no longer have to breathe because you just infinitely have enough oxygen in your blood forever.
Damn. It's pretty dark.
Maybe we're dead.
It's pretty crazy.
Do you know in Star Fox they cut off their legs and replaced them with machines?
What about Waterworld? When we get gills.
Whoa, I could have made a connection just now. Star Fox, they're all mermaids. They don't have legs.
Hell yeah.
Except for the like machine legs. Which I guess mermaids don't have machine legs. They could have one big machine flipper.
We don't know how spoilers there. It's the mermaids that are talking about legs in town. we don't know how they got their legs. It could be metal legs.
Oh my god. It could be
robotic eggs. We know that there are robots in this world.
And there's a Cornelia in this world too.
Oh
Holy
my
shit!
god!
I think we just blew this case wide open.
We're through the looking glass here, people.
FF1 is just a Star Fox prequel.
What's the fucking yeah?
They explains the fighter jets in FF7 we saw.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's all coming together.
Holy shit!
And we're about to do our own barrel roll, aren't we?
So, Final Fantasy. Okay,
Sorry, we're about to get in a barrel.
I'm gonna bring. Oh my god, we're gonna get a barrel roll. Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna bring all this together. I'm gonna bring in pieces of what we were talking about before we started recording the podcast. Now, I'm bringing this all home. Okay. The world of Final Fantasy is Earth in Roadside Picnic.
Hell yeah.
And the Star Fox characters are the aliens.
Hell yeah.
Who visit down upon the Final Fantasy worlds and then pick up and move on. But they leave their technology behind, right?
Orbs.
They're orbs. Because the crystals, the orbs, right? That grant wishes and keep everything alive. And companies like Shinra are exploiting that technology.
Also Elon Musk.
They wrote about him in Roadside Picnic from the 70s. It's all one thing.
I think that was about his father who was profiteering off of apartheid, but same family. It's fine.
Yeah, same family. I'm sorry. I think, Alex, you had a better joke. Barrel rolls, because we're getting in a barrel. But before we do that, since that barrel is going to lead us into the dungeon of today's episode, how about we take a break?
How about we all go apply our Oxyale?
I'm gonna go apply the Oxyale, and I'm also gonna look up a
thoroughly cover. Get into the fingernails on the top. You gotta make sure you lather it thoroughly.
At least sing
20 seconds.
The ABCD EFG song.
Sing
the alphabet song.
Sing
Vithos Lusek, Winthos Venusek. Liberi
Fatale, yeah.
Liberi Fatale, yeah.
Yeah, start washing your hands, sing
We're
Liberi
a Final
Fatale.
Fantasy podcast. That used to be our theme song. Hell yeah.
All right, see you in a second. We'll be back. What I really like about Nobuo Uematsu's music is that I feel like even now, even on the pieces that he's writing, he's always incredibly melody centric, even though he has such a master of dense harmony. So we were just talking about Chrono Trigger and how the one or two pieces that he wrote for that, they're kind of abrasive on the harmony side, right? It's kind of nasty, and he does that a lot. He's try diminished fifths or whatever. He loves diminished fifths, and they're kind of nasty. Or moving a major third around chromatically. That's nasty, but he loves doing it, and it always serves a melody. And so even that piece that you were just playing from the Final Fantasy VII remake, there's a strong melody, and I feel like a lot of modern video game music, because it's more akin to film music, which is supposed to serve the
more
game.
Like a score, yeah,
more like a score. It doesn't always have a real strong melody because it could pull away from the spoken dialogue. But I love that Nobuo Uematsu still has those real catchy themes throughout his music, and it's so good. It's one of the things that makes him so good.
So good.
Anyway, that was my rant about Nobuo Uematsu.
Hell yeah!
Are you guys ready to go diving?
Yeah, I'm ready to
dive right back in.
I found some really interesting, compelling conversation from one of the townsfolk in Onrak, which I need to pull up. So excuse me. It's also not entirely.
I was wondering if you were going to do it. I was I'm going to give Alex 1 second to say excuse me, and then I'm going to start.
Oh yeah, so by the fountain in the middle of town, there's a woman who says, "I hear the Sunken Shrine contains heaps of treasure, gold and diamonds, and oh, someone else has said there's a stone slab of some sort too."
There's gold,
but the diamonds stuck out.
It's funny that he would retain that.
Yeah,
if someone was just listing off all these treasures and shit, and they mentioned just a slab at the end, it was I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I love slabs.
So, all right, let's make Annie Edison Taylor. the first lady to go over the Niagara Falls in a barrel and survive.
Hell yeah.
And get in this barrel.
How did that start?
I read that it was, her motives are not entirely clear, but it was definitely financial. But she never made like a killing off of it. She just like made enough.
Yeah, well.
Ain't that the way?
I hear that. Yeah, ain't that just the way?
Yeah.
How do all four of us fit in a barrel?
You know what? We all get in a barrel and our...
We're all beefier too.
I was going to say our bodies will kind of soften the slamming into the water.
I guess it's the same as like the overworld. We all just kind of like unfold. We just phase into each other and just hop in, right?
It's like when Barrett just climbs into Cloud's pocket in Final Fantasy VII.
To be a Barrett riding around in Cloud's pocket.
His little breast pocket, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that NPC who was blocking the barrel is still there, and you can talk to her, and she says, "Warriors with Oxy Ale, we have been waiting for you. Please save the mermaids." And then she like disappears. She like, I thought she was just like walking the docks, but then she like disappears and it plays like a little sound in my game. Very spooky, very mysterious.
Yeah, in mine she is like, "Oh yeah, you're the one we were waiting for again." And then she like, she like fades out as she like drifts over the water. Which I guess maybe just implies that maybe she's like a ghost of the mermaids or something.
A ghost maid.
Yeah, some sort of siren.
A mer ghost.
Ooh.
Ugh. Holy shit, I think I have the next young adult fiction bestseller on my hands right now.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Mer ghost.
Does anything like that happen in yours, Curtis, or is that person just not there anymore?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember.
Yeah, so probably doesn't matter.
But
didn't leave an impression? Fuck it.
Fuck them. We get in that barrel, and apparently...
It does say ride the barrel, which just made me think of ride the lightning.
Ride the lightning. I was getting ready to get...
little... I was going to say AMV. There's a cool little, like anime cutscene here in my version where it's like tilting down, and you see, like, bubbles floating up, and then... you can see like a weird green structure that has like pillars and like a roof and stuff.
Oh,
it looks like a pyramid in mine, which does not accurately represent what this spoiler dungeon looks like at all.
Yeah.
As you could imagine, in mine, once you step onto the barrel tile, it just looks like you're going inside of a different room, and the room pops up, and now you're in the temple. So.
Nice.
We're in the Sunken Temple now, everybody. We did it.
Hell yeah.
So I guess another thing that the Oxy Ale does, besides allowing you to breathe underwater, is it also just eliminates your buoyancy, because we are able to walk on the floor here.
Yeah.
So in ours it looks... So the way they did it is... I can't tell if in my version it's supposed to imply that we are on the... We're actually underwater while on the dungeon or not, because in at the end of the cutscene, we actually see like the barrel pop up on the ground and like dock at the Sunken Shrine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which I don't think really tracks. Like, that's exactly how it looks. And I was like...
there is like dialogue later in here that implies that we might be underwater.
Right, exactly. So let's...
So it's like, you can also see in ours like water surrounding it and everything. Maybe it's just like, the Mariana Trench, or I forget which there's
Marinara
like
Trench,
some...
got it.
The Marinara Trench. No, there's some like weird... like incredibly dense like trench underwater, or like lake underwater, that I forget like what it's composed of, but it's like known as like a death thing, because like you'll see videos of crabs just walking into this like super dense like underwater lake, and they just instantly die and like turn to bones and shit. It's fucking crazy. Maybe it's like that.
I think it's just like superheated. I don't remember.
That's awesome.
Just like me when I'm playing video games.
Hey.
Heated gamer moments.
Yeah. Playing in the summer with no air conditioning is always a heated gamer moment. Okay. So
the brine pool.
We arrive on the third floor of the shrine.
You're
the
in a
Jacuzzi
room.
of Despair. It's called the Jacuzzi of Despair, which is such a kick-ass fucking name.
God, I need to write that down so I can look it up after the podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So in this first floor is just kind of like a foyer. Because
a foyer, as we say in Philly.
Yeah, a foyer. There are 2 rooms that have some gold in them. There's some empty rooms. But for the most part, there's kind of like a medium-sized hallway with pillars on both sides. And then far to the left and far to the right, you can either take stairs up or down. So farther up into the shrine or farther down. The game doesn't tell you which way to go. And honestly, you can do either one first.
Yeah.
But I suggest going up first because there is treasure.
Yeah.
Baby.
There's some choice treasure.
Oh, there's some choice gets.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Plus,
So
it's kind of like if you end up going down, you'll get to a point where you can just be outside of the dungeon again, and then you would have to just go back through and go up, and then follow that all the way back down if you don't have the warp spell. So if you want an optimized way through, go up first.
did not take an optimized way through, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So treasures, let's talk about them. Light axe.
Hell yeah.
It's an axe with some power on it, man. It's fucking
Cast
shit.
Diara when you used it.
Ooh,
so-
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dia 2.
Oh, that's actually
So
handy.
basically, it's the same thing as the Zeus gauntlets, except it is really good against undead enemies.
Yeah.
Right.
And we
Which
should-
there's some in here which can be a real pain in the ass.
yes. Those like ghosts.
They're just
Oh
called
my
ghosts.
God.
They're
So
like a stronger version of the ghosts that we fought before.
I got game overed twice in this dungeon by that party. Is a party of like
I've gotten the
6 or 7
closest.
ghosts.
I've gotten the closest to getting a game over from them.
Yeah, they're real mean. A lot of damage.
There's a lot of mean enemies down here.
Yeah. Now, what we were saying earlier, the Zeus gauntlets, they cast lightning 2 or Thundara. Huge assistance here. Most of the water type enemies are weak to thunder. It's like Pokemon rules. You break out that Pikachu, you're ready. So yeah, I'm just White Mage is only throwing Zeus gauntlets or the heal rod to cast heal too.
So my strat for this was fighter and ninja or knight and ninja attacking whatever like the strongest enemy on the screen was. White Mage, if I wasn't at full health, topping everyone off with that healing staff.
Love to get topped.
Love to get topped. And then
I stand by what I said.
At the bottom of my party, so the bottom of my party would then use the Zeus
The
gauntlets
bottom of my party, or as we call them, the bottom of my.
would then use the bolt 2 from the gauntlets. And so pretty much this is the first dungeon that I was like, oh, I know that I've been running away from everything, but I'm not going to run away this time. Like, I was just going through and I was like, I'm going to fight fucking everything because it's kind of faster and more beneficial to me than having to use potions all the time. Because, like, every turn I can crack off a heal, which is essentially 4 potions on everyone on my team.
Right. And my team, I think I had 2 full level ups in this dungeon. So, like, the dungeon's not too long and it's not too confusing. It's Final Fantasy 1, but compared to like the volcano and the marsh cave, like I think this one is more straightforward.
Absolutely. There's some like dead ends that have like rooms where you're like, ooh, something's
there's dead ends.
Open it, and there's nothing, but it's not that big of a deal.
And with the exception of the ghosts that I think only appear on like 2 floors of this dungeon, there's nothing that I know of that you're going to run into that's just going to game over you before you even have a turn, like the red gargoyles. Like there's nothing like that here. I don't believe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Crocus is trying to clean up.
Oh, Quoby.
She's very sweet. She's a little dingus.
Love it. Love that gal.
Anyway, yes.
So
Oh, that's stinky. She just took a real stinky shit.
okay,
That's what she's trying to clean up.
I don't remember exactly what I said last, so I'm kind of gonna just.
What do you think it smells like down here, guys?
Come.
I would imagine it smells like fish. I guess.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It smells like strawberries. It smells like strawberries, and everyone at home. I'm basing this off of the fact that every pool that I've ever been in my entire life, the bottom of the pool smells like strawberries. So next time you're swimming around in a pool, go down there and give it a good old sniff on the bottom of the pool.
You're gonna have bodies on your hands, Carl. You're gonna have blood on your hands.
I fell for that prank. I fell for that prank when I was a kid. My older brothers got me good with it, and I was like, "You motherfuckers!"
I've never heard
surely
that
my
before.
older brother wouldn't lie to me about such a thing.
I've never heard that before. That's
my older
pretty
brother,
amazing.
who I trust. It's like strawberries, hot damn. We got to get a whiff of that.
God. It's
But
so good.
speaking of enemies and trolling, there are sea trolls down here, which
Yeah.
which is funny
yeah.
to think about. It was like legs, and
I think those were introduced with a Trolls World Tour. They weren't in the
right,
first two.
trolls too.
Yeah, they're voiced by Neil Patrick Harris.
But yeah, it's weird to think that like these so-called mermaids are like become so fascinated with legs, but there are like lots of enemies down here with many
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah, like them and the Sahagin.
The Sahagin, there's
Yeah.
sea scorpions and sea snakes, which have no legs.
Yeah, the
And-
Sahagin I completely forgot is like a Final Fantasy enemy like that
Yep.
we fought in Final Fantasy VII in the sewers. And the only reason I remembered it is because the Sahagin are in the remake and they're real fucking difficult in the remake.
I'm excited to get there. Yeah, so there's also sharks. Just shark. is
Yeah,
the
there's
name of it in my
shark
game.
and white shark. Yeah.
I fought some like water elementals, a water naga.
I want to talk about the water elementals because I think in mine they're called aquos.
Yeah, they're just they
aquas?
look just like wind. Remember
Yeah.
the air ones? It's just a tornado, but this one's made of water.
Yeah, what are they called in yours, Curtis?
I'm looking it up.
They
I'm
called
sorry.
something like wet.
No, that's good because I saw that and I was like, I think that's the enemy that in your game was just called air.
Or water, I think is probably what it's
Yeah, I
called.
think it's just water in mine. Yeah.
I love that there's just an enemy called. I mean, I guess it tracks the same way with air, but like you're just fighting water while you're
Well,
submerged
tell you what.
underwater.
I apologize to future Alex for having to listen to this while I look it up.
I mean, it's on the fandom. It shows you what the names are, also known as water or aquos. But
Yeah.
I'm betting that's just water.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Aquos
Given the
transmission
pattern.
by Incubus.
Air, Earth. Yeah. So there's the light axe. There's a mage staff, which casts
which
fire
does
too.
fire too. Yeah.
So that's what's up. I like that the game is now giving us these options so that we don't, because like we don't really have a lot of spell slots to burn for these multi-unit attacks. Like I guess like I don't have a black wizard or a black mage. I assume that they have more than the red does because the red skill is in having access to both, not in number of casts.
Right.
But I don't have a lot. I mean, more than I did at the time when I got Fire 2, but 7, 6 for a whole dungeon. So
Yeah.
it's super handy to
It's-
actually have these items now that we're getting to do these multi-enemy attack spells.
It kind of shows how like I can't think of a better word than like artificial, but that's not really a fair way to describe it, but like how artificial the difficulty in this game is, if that makes any sense, where it's like if we had spells that we could just rattle off, like none of these places would be a problem. If we had ethers, like I think Alex in your game you do, but like if we were able to just like dump as much money into being able to get more casts as we can
Right.
with being able to get more health, this game would be so much easier. So now that we have that option as like, oh, every turn I can just use this like second level spell,
Right.
it really makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
It is worth noting, even though I cheated, I still have to manually grind to get my magical level up. So I'm still
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
I still haven't leveled up enough to get good stuff, good
Nice.
spells, I should say.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There's a bunch
It's
of...
unkillable.
Even
So-
that is tough though.
What's cool about this dungeon too is that like there's not like walls to the areas we're walking through. It's just like some bricks in the middle of water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like ruins.
Yeah. And
Yeah, like it was probably an actual temple or structure, and then when it sunk, it
Yeah.
went into disrepair.
yeah, right. So it's got a real cool geography to it, and there are lots of rooms. Like we were saying earlier, there's dead ends. It's kind of it's maze-esque, but unlike the...
It's very much like a cave, I guess you would call
Yeah.
it in terms of mechanics, because you can
Well-
see where you're supposed to go, but sometimes you can't quite get there because
Yeah.
there are like chunks of floor missing to get over there.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it seems a little different to me in maybe how it's planned out, because most areas I feel like have more than one walkway to get to them here, which is kind of interesting to me, that like you can go left or you can go south and you'll be at the same room, or you'll go north and west and you'll be at the same room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it feels more like a structure, just the way that they made it. Like, oh yeah, that's how an actual building might be. Like if it
it's less
became
linear.
ruins. Yeah, right. And so, but it's still, functionally, it's still like one of the caves that we've been in.
Yeah.
But once we get to the 5th floor, so we start on the 3rd floor, right? I said we can go down or we can go up. We start on the 3rd floor. Once we get to the 5th floor, boy, are there treasures and other things here.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And notably about this floor, at least in our games, me and Alex's, I'm assuming, there are no random encounters.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Which is very good because there's a lot of rooms. There's 4, 8, 12. There's like 15 rooms in here that you can go in. Some of them have a lot of treasure in them, and others have just mermaids that you can talk to.
Yeah. So this is where the mermaids are.
Yeah.
This is like, I guess affordable housing for mermaids, and we're just kind of helping ourselves to all this stuff.
The first one I talked to just says, "You responded to me," and that's it.
Oh, that's her. Then maybe she was astral projecting.
Oh shit, that's quite possible.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's a good point. I thought it was just like, I sent you my Finn pic. Please respond.
I showed you my fin. Please respond. One of them says, "My friend Daryl went to the land, then never returned. I've often wondered what happened. Maybe she grew legs and walked away." And I wonder if that's like one of the people who's like, "Oh, I sure love having legs."
Yeah, I
Sure
think that's
is
what
great.
it implies. I don't know if
Daryl.
I don't know if there was a name in mine because I would have remembered.
Yeah,
Daryl.
mine was vague. It was like, oh yeah, one of our friends or whatever. I wonder what happened to them.
My friend Oates, and in my game it's my friend Hall.
Yeah,
I forget which one is. Daryl Oates. It doesn't matter.
Hall and my friend Odoro. Otsuro. You're out of touch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of my mermaid friends left for the land and she hasn't returned. I wonder what became of her. Maybe she grew legs. Yeah, I think it's implying that that's the one that we talked to.
Yeah. And here's the kicker for what we were talking about earlier. One of the mermaids says, "Unbelievable, you can breathe underwater." So I think the Oxy Ale is allowing us to breathe underwater. We're probably, well, again, like there's the barrel thing that Alex said earlier. But, I mean, look, it's a ruins. It's feasible that there could be air pockets and also...
Well, I thought, when I
water.
read it, I thought they were just implying that, like, oh, no one could have gotten down here unless they could breathe underwater.
Yeah, good point. You're probably... Actually, I think that's probably the best interpretation.
It's like the Gungan city in episode 1.
Yeah, it's those...
So
those
the mermaid
weird, like,
comes out and
breathing
says,
devices
"Misa gonna give you on bongo."
Misa no care about the Cornelia.
Yeah.
There is
fiend is through the planet's
core.
planet we have to fight a goober fish, and it turns out that it's a big goober fish.
Gooberfist.
Okay, I'm gonna go even further off the fucking beaten path here if you're ready. Okay. Are y'all familiar with, I think, the Andy Griffith Show?
Yes.
Okay, there's a character named Goober on that, I believe. Is that right?
You've already reached the bottom of my well of Andy Griffith knowledge.
Okay, got you.
Can we reel it back into, like, just be SpongeBob?
So I think that's...
Everyone's living on the floor that are still fish.
I think that's where
Goofy Goober.
the character Goober is from. But I learned today, I was like, yo, what is up with this character's hat? It's the hat that Jughead wears in the Archie comics, which is what Alex named all of his Final Fantasy team. So we're back in.
Oh my god.
But
through the looking glass.
I was like, what the fuck kind of hat is that? Like, what is that? And it's called like a whoopee hat. And I was like, I've never fucking heard of a whoopee hat. And so I looked it up, and apparently it's a style that came from people who were trying to look stylish would have like fedoras, but depending on the work that you were doing back in the day, like your fedora would get all cut up and ate up and shit like that. And so it kind of became like a point of pride to have an eaten up, beat the fuck up fedora if you were a mechanic. And so people started cutting the brim off of their fedora and then the base into triangles. And that's what Jughead is wearing in the fucking Archie comics. And it was like shorthand for like, I work on machines.
So I'm going to take it a little further than that. Have you watched any of Riverdale?
What was that? I'm sorry.
No.
Have you watched any of Riverdale?
No.
I think it's like the CW, like
I
young
think we've
adult.
talked about it before. In the previous episode.
It's something else. It's real good trash TV. But I like the lore behind Jughead's hat and that because it's I guess they tried to like modernize it a little bit so it's like a beanie but it kind of looks like a crown and it's got the weird triangle things.
Yeah.
And like they don't really explain why he has it other than like, oh, it's like an edgy Archie comic like, thing. And like his way of saying it, he's like, yeah. I mean, I forget why he's talking. He's trying to like point out that he's weird and like the girl that like wants to date him or whatever shouldn't be dating him. He's like, yeah, I'm weird. I wear this hat because I'm weird. And like literally that's the lore. Like,
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird.
you can't just make your characters say how they feel. That makes me angry.
And what class is Jughead in your game, Alex?
I think he's one of the fighters.
Yeah, so there's the 2 fighters I think that you have.
All right. So the fighters gain access to white magic, which is kind of weird
I'm weird.
because they only have so many casts. And we're back in. It's not great.
Yeah.
That wasn't great. It wasn't a great way to stitch it back up, but I tried, damn it. At least I did. At least I did something.
It was a valiant effort.
If there's only a hat I could wear to show you how much I worked on this podcast.
Yeah, so got mermaids up here. We have a shitload of treasure up here. And I would like to point out that the last room I went to has the most important treasure of all.
I know what you're going to say.
But on the way, I got an opal bracelet. I got an opal helmet, I think, and a shield. I had some new equipment for my knight.
In our game, it's diamond.
Okay, all
which is a callback to that NPC who's like, "Oh, I heard there's gold and diamonds in the sunken treasure, in the sunken where the fuck we are, whatever it's called,
Sunken diamonds in the light.
The Sunken Bass Pro Shop.
The Sunken Bass Pro Shop.
I mean, it is
It's a pyramid, yeah.
the sunken Cabela's."
So in your game, Curtis, the last room has a item that we need.
Okay,
How
well,
do you get to it?
There's not even that room. I want to talk about the room before it first.
Okay.
Got all these treasures, and then I go to the Gill, and I go to the last treasure, and I'm like, all right, finally, I know what this piece
Key
of equipment is. Not the key item. We'll get to that. That'll be the next one. But a key item in a way that it's fucking necessary. And I didn't have any more space left, and I was like,
Oh no.
I have to go back and sell all my equipment. So I left the room. I marched all the way back to the entrance. I went to the shop. I sold it all, and I came back. And when I was back, I said, can I just drop equipment now that I think about it? I absolutely could have just dropped equipment. There was no reason for me to do this dungeon twice.
Oh no.
And I got the ribbon. The
Oh,
ribbon!
okay. I thought you were gonna say the 10 gil.
The 10 gil. Yeah.
There's a chest that just has 10 gil.
I didn't have room in my armory for the 10 gil, so I had to drop a bunch of armor off.
And then when you were saying that, I was like, oh, there's also a chest that just has an antidote in it, and it could be like the last one that you get because of the pathing that you have to take.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, let's talk about the thing that Alex was going to say, because this fucking place.
So yeah, we're working our way around, and there's like, okay, there's three on the area where we get up. There's 4 more above that, 4 more above that, 4 more of that. So the last room we need to get to, we realize there's some floor pieces missing between us and that room.
And there's like no way to get to it, right? Because if you see a room, you're like, okay, like, cause this is like basic map maze shit, right? You hug the wall, and you kind of circle around a place until you find a way in, because it has to be connected to it somehow, right?
right.
And this just doesn't seem to have one.
Yeah.
What do you do, right?
And like, are we gonna learn some way to jump? Are we gonna learn? We could just
Can
swim
we
if we're
swim?
underwater.
Yeah. If we're underwater, like, yeah, like.
But it turns out that we've fucking crossed into Dark Souls 2 territory, where spacing no longer fucking matters whatsoever. And to get to the room all the way on the east, we have to go all the way to the west. And the room wraps back around on itself.
And this, dear listener, is why I keep fucking up east and west.
Hey, sometimes you have to go east to go west.
Exactly.
3 east make a west, baby.
Three easts makes a west. God, that's...
But yeah, it was like, wait a second. Like, I didn't because I'm looking at a map and I like had no idea. Because like even on the map, it's not very obvious.
Yeah, if you look on the
But-
map, you're just like, oh, there's no
There's, like-
way to get over there.
It makes sense on the world map that you go so
Yeah.
far east and then you're west.
Maybe we're
But, like,
in a tiny world.
maybe it's like it's underwater or Mario Galaxy. Or like,
Yeah, exactly. So you just have to
Or
go.
Animal Crossing, everything's on like a drum. The entire world
Oh
is like
yeah,
just
you're
is
right.
it
It's like a
really?
cylinder.
it's like a log.
It's like a
Yeah.
cylinder.
That's
The
awesome.
horizon's a straight line, but it rolls.
I like it.
Yeah, so you just go all the way to the northwest of this room, follow that all the way west, and then you're suddenly on the east of the room.
and there's
the
nowhere
very top,
nowhere
so-
else I'd rather be.
Yo, but this would like really throw me off if I didn't see this map though, because if I was playing, I'm like, oh, there's another room over here. It's like I still got to figure out how to get to the other room back there though, because I would just think it was a different room,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know? Because I was like, oh, this is what I need, but I wonder what's in that room I couldn't get to in the other room, you know, in the other side, other screen.
I feel like if
Alright.
I wasn't looking at the map, I would just kind of like walk around and be like, oh, there's a weird hallway here. Oh, this hallway leads over here. Oh, here's the thing, and I like wouldn't even like pay attention to the other rooms and
Yeah.
how this is the exact same like shape as me on the other side of that room
Right.
that I was trying to cross, and I would just be like, oh, okay, well I got the key item, so I don't give a fuck about that other room.
Yeah, never even knowing you went to that room. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right.
Let's go
Okay.
chests left to right. I think you already did actually, but diamond
Here-
helm, diamond gloves. So we have a full
Yes.
diamond set now.
This is where future Alex preps a sample. So, but I'll do the sample myself so that we know. So we get into this room, this weird east-west, you might say, room, and open it. And what do we find? The man in gauze, Ramses.
So is it just called the slab in yours?
It's just called the slab,
Okay,
ours
it's called
it's
something
called,
different. In ours,
yeah.
yeah.
the Titanite slab in yours.
yes. It's the chunk in ours.
What?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, get out.
It is called, in ours, it is called the Rosetta Stone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So when you were like, Alex, you
It's a
gotta,
Duolingo. Mine.
when you were saying that Alex needs to prep like a sound drop in it, I was like, is Curtis making a Tool reference? Is he going to tell Alex to put in Rosetta Stone?
Rosetta Stone.
By Tool
I actually
for
like
some
that
reason.
song.
It's a pretty good. 10,000 Days is a pretty good album.
I like it. Yeah.
The first half of it's real good. I stopped caring after like halfway through. But
Yeah. I feel like that one's a good. There's only like 8 tracks in there, right?
I can't even.
Something like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
remember.
It's my easy listening Tool record 'cause it's pretty chill.
Yeah,
most
it's
of it.
pretty
Yeah.
poppy.
Poppy.
Poppy. It's poppy.
Rosetta Stone.
We're done with this floor. Yeah. So we got the Rosetta Stone. I imagine we haven't done it yet, but I imagine that's probably going to go to Dr. Une, and I
yeah.
imagine he's gonna
Shit
give
some
us
bricks.
He's gonna give us a language lesson plan for only $69 a year or whatever.
We're gonna subscribe to his master class.
We're gonna subscribe
He's
to.
gonna pester you every day.
We're gonna-
He's like, hey,
Yeah, yeah.
how do you say, what is El Nino?
Yeah. We see that you haven't logged into Duolingo, Unelingo in a while.
El means the, and Nino means Nino.
But yeah, so that's all that's in here. We got the key item.
Was there any interesting dialogue from the mermaids for you guys?
Yeah. Yes.
Like the
One of them was just like, how? Tell me.
Oh my god.
They were just like,
One of them
freaking
said,
out that you're there.
"I suppose you are legendary."
I liked this one a lot because it kind of builds on something that we had heard about before in a different light. And it says, in the eastern continent's desert, I saw someone enter the Tower of Mirage, and oh, that bell's wondrous sound. So I mean,
Yeah.
before we had heard like, oh, no one can get into that tower, so it seems like it might just be a mirage. But this mermaid somehow saw in the desert, which is like the opposite of where mermaids should be, saw someone go
maybe
into this.
maybe that caravan also caught a mermaid in a bottle. But yeah, I think I talked to someone like that too, but she was being a little more coy. It was like, people say no one can get into that tower, but I saw someone go in the other day or whatever, something like that.
So there are
You know,
two
they
mermaids.
say that mermaid over there is a vegetarian, but I always thought she was full of baloney.
Oh, I hate it. I love it
That was,
'cause I hate it.
that was Norm Macdonald's stand-up set during the roast of Bob Saget, where he just did old school, like really early, non-offensive jokes the whole time to Bob Saget, and Bob Saget was cracking up, and everyone in the audience was like, "What the fuck?" He's like,
He was basically like trying to bomb like the whole time. It was, like,
It was
the
so
most
good.
flat. Like, they're just landing flat every single.
I think
note
he
was
just
not
watched a
landing.
bunch of like old school like roast videos where it was just all old men who like didn't get to like over the top or anything and just had dumb jokes like that. So he's like, Bob, you got a lot of well wishers here tonight. Me personally, I'd like to kill you in a well. Or he's like, I'd like it if you fell in a well. I'd like people weren't laughing. He's like, I'm going to murder you in a well. I don't know how you didn't get that. Bob Saget always has something on his mind. When he's wearing a hat, it was like an entire like 3 minutes of people saying like the most like horrible things and fucked up things in like a Comedy Central roast, like uncensored and stuff. And then like Norm Macdonald being like, Susie Essman's full of baloney. Like, I highly recommend if you haven't seen it to watch it because it's the funniest thing.
So there are also two mermaids in here who talk about the fiend that lives here. So the fiend of water is here. And I also like that one of them is like, oh, we live on the top floor and the fiend of water lives on the bottom floor. So they are canonically roommates.
Yeah.
Like they're in a real Dharma and Greg here.
Keep that noise down.
Yeah. The Kraken's like smacking the roof. Keep it down up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little confusing because usually the upstairs neighbors are the ones that like are the worst.
Yeah, right.
Kraken's like, I'm just trying to fucking like get some sleep, and they put their phone on the floor, and then their alarm goes off, and I just hear like vibrating through my fucking ceiling. That's definitely not a passive aggressive thing of me talking about when I had upstairs neighbors and something that happened to me every morning at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, these mermaids are like a sorority because there's only females up there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Because they're mermaids, not mermen.
Oh, true. Mermaiden.
Is merfolk the right term for that?
I like the SpongeBob treatment of it, where it's not like merman, it's just mermaid man.
Yeah, mermaid man.
Man Ray.
Man Ray. Yeah, man
Yeah.
Ray. Yeah, so we can go back down to the third floor and start heading down.
Where we started.
Yeah, and start heading down toward the Kraken. If you're playing the
Spoiler.
game, I'd say probably go heal, because it's going to get rough.
Yeah. Or just do what I did and don't heal and just keep using the healing staff. Like there was only.
Oh yeah,
I think
that's true. It's true.
I did have my thief die once to those shadow guys, or not shadow, the ghost guys.
Yeah.
But I had life 1 on my white mage, so I still had casts for it because I was only using the healing staff with her. So I just brought him back, healed him up with potions, and then made my way down and fought the fucking fiend.
Fought the fucking fiend. Yeah.
Did we-
Except it's not a straight shot going down.
No. These floors are kind of confusing actually, and like once we get to the second floor, we have to like go back up to the third floor and then back down to the second floor, and it is kind of windy, but it's weird. It's an odd.
I mean, previous dungeons have done this.
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
have to kind of go up and down, but because we're basically just following stairs until we just follow the stair you haven't been to yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this one is I feel like a lot of the other dungeons had these giant pathways that would go to nowhere, or that you weren't supposed to go on. Like they would wind around. And this, because there's so many times we go second floor, third floor, second floor, first, second, first, a lot of them are very short. And so there will be like one wrong way, but the wrong way will only go like one screen. And then you'll just be like, oh, that wasn't the way I was supposed to go. And you'll just continue on to the stairs that'll invariably be close by. So it's a neat way to do that. And I kind of like this dungeon for that reason, because it has the exploration, but I don't feel like if I went down the wrong path, then I wasted an entire traversal into this dungeon and I have to go back and potion up and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There is some good loot on the second floor as well. I know we had already mentioned the ribbon. Did we talk about what the ribbon does, or were we just like,
we
the
didn't?
ribbon, like
We
Final Fantasy
didn't
VII?
actually.
Is it the
Yeah.
same as in FF7?
It's slightly different.
Yeah.
So what it does is you can wear it as, I think, a helmet,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, and decreases your chance of getting like a sudden death move cast like successful on you. So I don't think it's not like, oh, you don't get any status ailments or anything. It's just like, oh, if someone uses like Reaper or Death or whatever it's called on your member wearing it, it's much less likely.
Now that I think about it, I think it might have some stats. I need to look it up. I'm sorry.
I'm just going by the in-game description, so I might be wrong about that. But
yeah,
while we're on this floor anyway, I will also mention that there's a couple of rooms that have like mandatory encounter tiles. Most of them you can just avoid if you know where they are.
Yes, yeah.
So I cheesed it. I was looking at the map and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to avoid it. And most of the enemies too aren't really anything worthwhile.
Okay.
They're not really unique. It's like white sharks, which we're just fighting as random encounters, and a sea troll.
yeah.
There is a cockatrice down here, but
Ugh.
I avoided it because fuck that shit.
So I looked up the ribbon. So the ribbon does prevent the one-hit KO moves. It only has a single point of defense, but the other thing it does in this game is it blocks all elemental damage.
Ooh.
Huge.
Oh.
Huge.
That's real huge.
yeah, especially
Holy shit. Well, that's even better than.
yeah, especially for those fucking like again, I keep fucking bitching about them, but the red gargoyles. Ugh. If I had a bunch of ribbons.
Yeah, that would have been
No
nice
problem.
in the volcano.
Yeah.
Or the ice cavern.
Apparently, the thief or the ninja and the knight will actually get a better piece of headgear coming up as well. So,
Ooh.
but for everybody else, that's the best one they can possibly equip. So I put it on my white mage because I was like, I need this person to live.
I did the same thing. I was like, this is the one that I need to have like the most defense from that kind of thing because this is the one that can bring people back.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another really good item in here, which is the Giant's Gloves.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of thing as like the gauntlets. Like you don't equip them, you just keep them in your inventory slot, and it's a single use per turn, and you're able to cast Saber when used.
Which in my game I did not pick up because Saber doesn't work, and I was man, I'm just gonna go to the boss. I'm not gonna pick up this crap. Like I'm not concerned about 100%ing this game with items that don't even work.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. I grabbed them because I also got Saber as soon as I saw what it does in the I think I got it in what was the town that we were just in? Oh, in Onrak.
Yeah.
It costs 45,000 gil, and it's a spell that only a black wizard can use, and it's kind of pointless to use on the black wizard because it raises your own attack plus 16, and it raises your accuracy plus 10. So it gives you a way more like battle mage where you can actually deal some damage with your attacks.
But if you have it as an item,
when you have it as an item and your fighter can cast it, that's huge.
Right. So let's see. Is there anything else we want to talk about on these floors?
I think we already talked about the light axe.
They were ready to make some fucking calamari.
There's a shit ton of gil.
Yeah, there's a crap load of gil. We see the number 12350 in gil again because I remember talking about that. So there gotta be something to that. That's gotta be like a numeric thing. Anyway, So let's get fiending. I'm fiending.
We're fiending
right now. So Alex, do you remember when I fought the Lich? You pointed out, you were like, "Oh, the Lich was like in third person." The description was. And then when I fought the Fire Fiend, you were like, "Oh, it's weird that yours was like first person this time." This dialogue box switches person in the dialogue box, and I was like,
"Oh, weird."
Good God.
Yeah. So the Lich was like a description of it. The Marilith is like, "Oh, how dare you?" And this one goes, also the first line, "The Fiend's ball is shattered."
Classic. Funny every time.
Sorry, give me a second. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me try it again. Not try it again, but like you can keep all this in because it's fucking stupid. God damn it! I haven't done this since we had the fucking Sid jumping episode. Like there's not been anything in Final Fantasy 1 that's made me laugh so much I couldn't talk. And it's just the fucking statement that the Fiend's ball is shattered. Because
we already said ball crack last like a few
yeah, I know. But it's just
title?
It's just like the wording that the Fiend's ball is shattered. Like, I feel like it's telling me, like, hey, don't pick on him. He's stuck inside this week. His ball's shattered. He's got, like, a little cast on it. You just come over and sign his cast. Okay, I'm sorry. The fiend's ball is shattered, evaporating all the water. Okay, sorry. The fiend's ball is shattered, evaporating all the water. Ho, ho, ho. How foolhardy to dare challenge me, Kraken, the fiend of water. But there's no, like, quotation marks around it, and it's all, like, a run-on sentence. So, like, it shifts from third to first person in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah, he definitely sounds like a shitty roommate.
Unless the Kraken's like one of those people who like will talk about themselves in third person and then he just drops it. So you like see the Kraken and he's like, the Kraken's ball is shattered. Evaporating all the water.
Just imagine anytime it's in anything but like first person, it's what's it called? Ron Howard's voice.
And imagine Ron Howard from the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh shit.
God damn.
Looking Glass, etc. So the dialogue for mine is, you humans amaze me. Who would have thought any land creature could make it this far? But I'm afraid it's time to teach you your place. Kraken, the water fiend, shall instruct you.
Ooh.
Which is so fucking lame.
No, I like that. I think that's cool.
It's pretty lame.
Shall instruct you.
When I'm getting bullied, I like to be told I'm going to get knocked down. I don't want to be like, I'm going to instruct you. It's
well,
like,
he's
right,
instructing you in the ways of pain.
No, I know. I mean, he's right before that. He's like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson, and I'm going to instruct you." I'm like, I get it. I get what he's saying. It's just like
it.
You sound like a fucking Poindexter. You don't sound like a scary monster that I am going to struggle with kicking its ass.
A real buff Poindexter. All right, Alex, what is
That's what
yours?
I'm trying to be.
Yeah, so I approached the ball, and it says, "You humans do impress. I would not have thought to see you here." And then he transforms, revealing this Kraken. But do you really think you can defeat me, the fiend of water, here in my own domain? Fools, these dark deaths shall be your tomb.
That's way cooler. See?
That's way cooler.
That's respectable. That's a respectable bully.
And he's basically an Octodad, but with a cape.
Yeah. That is kind of how he looks.
Hell yeah.
But as we
Mess
know,
of tentacles.
only a party comprised of Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley can kill the Kraken, as Disney has showed us.
Johnny Depp jumps into his mouth or whatever.
He just gets vored.
Don't like that.
He gets vored, and then my ball shatters, and it's an all night thing. What do y'all think about this boss?
I kicked the shit out of it.
He's kind of a pain.
I wouldn't say I kicked the shit out of it. This is the first boss I fought that actually killed one of my party members. His first attack, he was just like, yo, you fucking monk, your master, fuck that guy. Boom,
Gone.
Just gone. It did like 400 damage. I was like,
those fists don't work on me.
Yeah, he mostly just dishes out physical attacks, but occasionally throwing ink at us, which inflicts blind.
Right.
I didn't even see ink, so I just used my kind of strategy throughout this whole game, which is protect my party as much as possible in like one turn and just buff the shit out of the fucking fighter or knight. So what I did was I used those shiny little gloves that I got to use Saber as my knight. Then with my thief, I think I casted haste, which he learned on his way here on my knight, and then I also used the steel from my black knight on my fighter. So he was dishing out like eight hits and doing like 400 to like 600 damage each turn, and then I also like shielded everyone up.
2 turns or something like that.
Yeah, I think it took 3.
Okay, yeah.
But and then I also used like haste or steel or whatever on my ninja as well.
Hell
so
yeah.
I was just dishing out fucking damage.
That's
like,
awesome.
It is I who have instructed you, Poindexter.
What's also interesting is
He shoved him in his locker. Sorry.
Knocked him down into his locker.
he's usually weak to actually it's not really clear in the wiki. It looks like in PSP and Game Boy Advance version, he's kind of, it's like, it doesn't say anything about his weakness to lightning, but he does occasionally cast Thundara.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I will say this, whether or not he's like statistically weak, I actually didn't look up, but Lightning 3 does plenty of damage to him in the NES version. So like, weak or not, fucking roll Lightning 3 out. It's great.
Once I had all the defenses up and all the like offensive spells and shit cast, I just pretty much did the same thing with my white mage. I was using the gauntlets to cast Bolt 2, and with my black mage, I was casting Bolt 3. So I took him down with relative ease.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Fucked this whole world up.
Hell yeah.
So we beat the Kraken. What happens in Pirates of the Caribbean? I don't remember. I was going to make a joke. Don't worry about it.
Johnny Depp jumps into his mouth as a cool cliffhanger ending. And then they have to go and get the dead man's chest. I don't really remember Pirates of the Caribbean 3. I think that was in 2, right? Did they fight the Kraken?
I think Keith Richards was in it.
Yeah, as Johnny Depp's dad.
Yeah.
I should know more because my brother was in Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
What the fuck? How are you and your fucking family and everybody in so many goddamn movies?
Well, that's what, like, my brother is like an actor. Like,
that makes sense.
And he was in a ton of movies, but he was in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, and the story behind it is actually pretty funny. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna tell it. I don't know. He doesn't listen to the show, so and I'm sure
he's off doing important actor things. He doesn't give a shit about our podcast.
The statute of limitations or whatever is probably up on it. But he went to his audition to be a pirate, and he's just like a clean cut guy who was like working as a server at a restaurant at the time as well, and was like just kind of sitting there waiting to be called up, and he like looked around and he's like, there was fucking dudes there with like enormous beards, and like this one guy next to me like took his eye out, and my brother was just like, it doesn't matter how fucking hard I nail this audition, I am not getting this fucking part. So he went in, he did an okay audition, didn't get it, and left. But as he was leaving, he overheard someone saying that they were like casting the British soldiers the following day. So he already knew the way to get there, and he like snuck his way in to get to the second audition. And you can see him for like 2 seconds in one of the scenes of Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Commodore or whatever his rank is in the part in the second one is like looking through a telescope.
Sure.
What are those things called? Whatever.
Yeah, telescope, I think.
Yeah, he's looking through his telescope, and then he like puts it away, and my brother like walks behind him in it. So
wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
So I should know more about those movies, but I think I only saw that in theaters, and I was like, yeah, that was fine.
Yeah.
My brother's Orlando Bloom, by the way.
He may have done some other things in those movies. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, so we have the third crystal. Also, I guess we're collecting the crystals. So
I think they show it a little more in my version of the game because there's like animations, and what happens after each fiend fight. Like the crystal that's like in the castle that's like spinning or whatever is there, and you like are like the fighter holds up a crystal towards there to, I guess, fill it with the power of the crystal.
Our crystals.
Yeah, so like we're carrying around crystals, but there's also crystals that we're going to. So that's why in our inventory we have like clear crystals for the whole game until we complete the thing, and then we're charging our crystals.
At the end, we put them all together and build a giant Himalayan salt lamp.
Don't let your cat lick it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got that. Again, thank goodness for the warps after fighting fiends. We can warp right back to Onrak.
Yep.
Actually,
Unless
we warp
we
outside
forgot to get
it.
the Rosetta Stone.
Does it not let you warp if you don't get it?
No, I'm just saying, like, it would be really pain in the butt to come back down here.
Yes.
Yeah, it would suck.
Or go all the way back up to the top.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we're done with this section. We're good.
Yeah,
so that's 3 fiends down, baby. 1 to go. We're coming for you.
Yeah. Curtis, in yours, does it just warp you back to Onrak?
It actually puts me a tile outside of Onrak.
Oh, okay. Because for ours, I think it warps us back to the barrel that we then have to take back to.
Oh, okay.
So a little more immersion. Although, like, it's a magic warp, so, like, what the fuck does it matter?
Mine just warped me to, the map, I think.
Oh,
actually, let me double check. I didn't actually take the warp. I'm looking. I'm still at there. I didn't take the warp yet.
If I take...
I'm gonna do it live.
If I do the exit materia or I warp out, the barrel's still at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, man. One-way trip.
One-way trip.
No, it just takes me to Onrak too. I don't know where I read that it takes you to the barrel. That's the fanfic. Who's like, this is unrealistic.
In the FF1 remake, that's how it'll.
Yeah. Don't even get me started.
Don't even get me started on the remake. No, actually, don't do it.
No, seriously, don't get me started.
Yeah. But yeah, so you guys have anything else to say about this area?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice and cozy.
It's pretty good, yeah.
The entire time I was going through it, I was just singing Homer Simpson's version of Under the Sea. It's your solution to everything. We're not living under the sea.
I feel like that was the first, it's the first part of the game that I've been, like, comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the townspeople tell you what you need to do and where to go. The game gives you the tools to deal with what's in the dungeon right before it, because we just got the Zeus gauntlets and everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, this is like, the game is finally giving me the tools to succeed. Which, I mean, I guess it has kind of the whole time, but in more of a, I feel like in a thought out way right now.
It was a lot more cozy than the other places that we've been. And like I was saying, like, not that the difficulty earlier is like artificial, it's just, it shows how much easier it is when you have like spells to cast.
Right.
Without any kind of like hindrance on that.
Yeah, right.
So is this, did we save the mermaids?
I assume so. We threw out their roommate. I think they were just like too polite to ask him to move out. Like they didn't want to do it. He was on the lease.
He wasn't paying rent.
Yeah,
the landlord was doing nothing to help.
I know, but the thing is, like, not all the mermaids are on
also,
the lease.
the condition of the fucking building is not great.
The landlord has not come down to help out.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
His floors are collapsing left and right, and the landlord's not doing anything.
Plumbing issues all over the place.
Scorpions and sharks everywhere.
Everything's shut down. They can't work because they're underwater, but they're still charging rent for some reason.
Ooh. Could you imagine such a world?
So there is some dialogue from the mermaids in my game that kind of explains like the stakes and why we're doing this specifically with them. Where they're basically talking, like they keep saying like, I wonder if we can regain the sea's light, or will we become bubbles and disappear? And another one says like, oh, the fiend is causing the sea's light to disappear. And everyone's just like, the longer the water fiend remains, the weaker the sea's light becomes. And everyone just kind of keeps talking about like turning into bubbles.
Yeah, when a mermaid dies, they become bubbles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like in the Little Mermaid, just like turn to sea foam or whatever.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we save the mermaids by helping them out.
I'm curious if they have any dialogue now that we've technically saved them.
Oh, I wonder.
Well, you're unkillable, so you go back down and talk to them. Actually, no, I might honestly go down there and get some, do some level grinding because, or just guild grinding because I don't know how much of it was from having, what's it called? Like having like the chests and everything, but I'm going to read my gil count right now. So before I went here, after buying the faerie, after having to grind up some gil to buy the faerie, I remember I had 1991 gil. I had 1,991 gil. I now have 195,252 gil just from doing that dungeon.
Hell yeah. Okay, raking it in.
Nice.
So next time, let's talk about next time real quick and talk about power leveling. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next episode, we're going to be going to Leafen. So the place that we've been talking about with the other language. We're going to learn to speak the language, and we're going to handle the Mirage Tower and anything that might be above it. We've already... And we were going to do the waterfall, but Alex kind of told us about the waterfall. So you and I, Carl, are going to do the waterfall real quick.
Hell yeah.
But I wanted to point out one of the things we're going to be talking about next episode is Warmech, the first super boss of the Final Fantasy series.
In history of any game.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's tough. It's real tough. And really not even tough in like a strategy kind of way, just in a like, oh, you encountered it, your game is over, start over. So I want to beat it, to do it, because I've never done it. I'm playing the NES version, so it's going to be the most awful to do it on.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to power level. Like we said a couple episodes ago, the fastest place to power level in the game is on the evil eye in the ice cave.
Find that eye.
I'm gonna go find that eye. I'm gonna whip him. And the thing is, though, because I'll be able to talk about War Mech after that episode, I'm gonna be so goddamn strong for the end game. But I think it won't matter because I'm gonna beat the boss of the tower before I fight War Mech. I'll go level up after that and then go fight War Mech. But after that, we have one episode after that?
I think
for
so.
FF1?
Maybe.
Maybe one, maybe
two. So I'm gonna be strong as shit, and I just want everybody to know that I'm gonna go beat that boss. And like, so my difficulty
It's almost
curve.
Hot Boy Summer.
It's almost Hot Boy Summer. So my difficulty curve for the last area is gonna be a little off, but the last area is when you would go power level anyway. So I think it'll be fine.
Do you remember what level you're at right now?
I don't, but I can look it up.
Yeah, because right now I'm at level 23 across the board. So what I might do, because
Nobody likes you when you're level 23. It's good, right?
What I'm gonna do probably is go through as normal and.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Ooh, that's lovely.
Wait, mute sound. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. You're gonna what?
So I'm probably gonna go through, do the same thing, fight the fiend or whatever, and then go power level. And I'm probably going to just make it on a separate save because I don't know if the NES has that option, but I have that on mine. So
Okay.
I'll create like an overpowered War Mech team on a separate save.
That's a good idea. My team is level 21 right now.
Okay.
So
I'm level 23, so I'm already a little over leveled, which is probably why the Kraken was so easy for me. But
yeah, fair enough. So that's it for this episode. We might get lucky and have a guest. You can cut this out if we don't.
That's not how this works.
I know. I'm so sorry. I forgot about time. I forgot about like the progression of time. Damn it. You think I've been doing it my whole life? I should know how it works by now.
nah, time's compressing right now. Nothing makes sense.
Ultimatia.
This episode went kind of long.
It did.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did it.
Done did it.
We done did it, y'all. We beat Final Fantasy 1. Yo, we are really actually getting close though.
We're very close.
It's beat you a few times, I feel like.
Oh,
Yeah,
it beat
that's
me
true.
way more than I beat it.
But yeah, dude, we're getting real close to the end now. Like real close to the end.
The first one.
Yeah, I know.
Phantom Menace.
I wonder what we're gonna do after this. What Final Fantasy game will be next? I tell you what, I'm not gonna tell anybody which one it is, but I'll tell y'all this. It's my least favorite. Yeah, that's okay. And as
it'd be like a Band-Aid for you.
yeah.
It's Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
All right, Alex, turn us into bubbles.
Music, featured music throughout the episode is by Nobuo Uematsu. Leave us a review on iTunes.
Leave us a voicemail, you cowards.
Oh yeah, we have a voicemail box, 530 Materia.
530
Give us a call.
Materia.
Feel free to text it too if you're just it's people have been trapped inside. So just shoot us a message. Why the hell not?
Just text us WYD question mark at like 3:30 in the morning.
I showed you my save file. Answer me.
Yeah, yeah. Text us like screenshots. Be cool. Show us your
Show us your party.
Rugrats themed party.
Yeah.
We are every FNFF on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. We are on Spotify as well as iTunes. I don't know can you leave reviews there? I don't know. I haven't used it.
Find a way
not.
and do it.
Find a way.
I did the theme song, and that's about all I have to say about that.
See you next week, y'all. We're gonna get War Mechy.
See you next week.
Chung Chung War Mech.
Make mech, not wars.
Bye.